Hello YouTubers and welcome to a little bit of an update video. So just finished off doing some max watts, a little bit of testing going on pre not feeling so hot. So max watts today, the ambulance's previous life, but the max watts themselves, just over 1,000 and I think it was 15, 17. You guys will know better than me, I can't really remember the number itself, but above 1,000 watts, which I'm happy with. Technique wasn't 100% fantastic, but we're still improving. Not done too many weights at the moment, not as strong as I was, say, in sort of March time when I was doing probably about 1,200 watts, but doing a lot more weights. Feeling like right now a big focus is on the rowing. So rowing is a rowing sport, of course, so regardless of how strong you are, regardless of how fit you are, if you can't row and apply what you have to the water, then it doesn't really matter. So as I mentioned, not feeling so hot over the past week, so today I'll just give a little bit of an update on that, especially because the previous episode was relating to doing a 2K very soon. So in the 2K prep, the two 1250s, I felt they weren't, so they were slightly faster than the three 1250s that I did a few weeks ago, but the effort that was put in was a lot more than that little bit of speed improvement, if that makes any sense at all. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's just a bit of nerves, maybe it's just because I'm tapering a bit, going into the 2K, and I'll be okay. On the next day, we did some, or the next few days, we did some prep, just short rehearsal type prep for the 2K itself. And it was actually in the morning of the 2K itself where I did just a sort of minute in the pre-paddle to wake the body up before the 2K itself, the warm-up before the warm-up. I did just a minute at what was supposed to be pace, and I was thinking, I can barely hold pace right now at a minute, let alone holding it for 2K. I also had the data from my resting heart rate, my HRV results, and they were way off. They were basically telling me, okay, something's not right. And on top of that, over the previous week before that, I've been having some tooth problems. So basically, I'm just listing all the excuses. Had some tooth problems, so I had some antibiotics to combat that because my last wisdom tooth is actually coming in, and every other wisdom tooth that has come in has got infected. So this one looks like it was getting infected. Had some antibiotics. Now we're back to a good level now, but unfortunately all those things combined. And lastly, actually, I have actually lost quite a bit of weight versus sort of summer, beginning of this year time, about 10-15 kilos, and I was thinking, okay, maybe it's a case of I'm training a bit differently, I'm eating a bit differently. I've actually started eating more vegetarian, less meat and less dairy, so I'm thinking, okay, maybe that's why I'm losing some weight. And turns out I was just losing weight because I wasn't eating enough. So over the past week, or almost a week now, I'm back to eating the volume that I need to eat. So there have been a couple of tuna and rices in there, a kilo of rice a day, etc. that I did do the beginning of this year. If you weren't part of the Yam Squad at that time, at the beginning of this year when I was doing a lot of training with Charlie down in Bath, it was a kilo of rice and 2 kilos of chicken a day, basically. But now I'm starting to eat a little bit less meat. I'm finding other sources of meat to go with that chicken, to go with that rice even. But anyway, all of those things combined meant that I ended up overdoing it. And so just before the 2K, I said, no, that I'm listening to my body here, and it's not the time to do a 2K. But positively, it's as always in life, we've got the meandering river, the winding road. It's a learning experience to, whether it's remind yourself or learn something new, to keep going in a certain path. So it's a reminder for me to eat more. I burn on an off day 4,500-5,000 calories, and so then on the days where I'm actually training, so if I've got 2 or 3 sessions a day, minimum 1,000 calories a session, basically. So I'm burning 8,000 calories a day usually. So that means I have to eat a lot of food, and sometimes I just forget how how much I have to eat, especially with doing things like the ambulance. It's very, very easy to get stuck into repairing the electrics, repairing the diesel heater, doing the internals of the ambulance, whatever it is, and not eating for a couple of hours or maybe a bit longer, which means that I then miss an opportunity in the day where I could put in 1,000 calories into my body rather than waiting till dinner and having to have a huge mountain of a plate that still won't be enough to fuel myself, rather than just having a few smaller meals throughout the day, if that makes sense. So I did actually go get a coronavirus test just to be sure, just to make sure, because I really wouldn't want to, for a couple of reasons. Like I live with my gran in the granny flat here in Scotland, so I wouldn't want her to be affected, and also if I'm feeling ill, then it potentially could be coronavirus, so I would want to check that out and be sure it wasn't that, as well as all the people I'm training with and living with, etc. I wouldn't want to infect them with coronavirus either. So, got tested, came back negative, so that's positive. Test negative, but it's positive they came back negative. But now it's just a case of building back up almost, and keeping in mind for me that fuel really is food. Or some may say food is fuel. And I haven't really been saying that a lot, and maybe that's why I haven't been fueling up correctly. So today, a little bit of max watts just to test things out. Not because I was ill, because it was on the schedule previous to the illness, and so we delayed this to get on, and it's not a big overall body tiring workout. So we get this in so we can keep track throughout the year, and getting on back into training now. So hopefully that lets you guys know a little bit of an update for the Yam squad, and a little bit of fun here in the garage, trying something a little bit new, a little bit of sort of dulled mood, chilled out, using a bit of just having some fun. So as always, Yam squad, remember to subscribe if you haven't already, for that time when I actually get to do a 2K. I think what's going to happen schedule wise is 5K before the 2K, because that was scheduled in, and there's no point in just putting in the 2K now kind of thing. We're looking at the 5K now, which will be relatively soon, and then we've got probably the 2K at a time where we can fit it in, because for GB trial system there's a deadline for your times, your 5K, your half hour, and your 2K. So we're going to be ticking those boxes with some scores, because they won't take my 2K from the summer, unfortunately. And I will see you in the next episode.